Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we have our budget laptop, the ASUS 14-inch Intel Celeron N4500, and it has a CPU with a base speed of 1.11 GHz, 2 cores, nothing too fancy. It has an Kingston X29128 SSD, and this was a requested video, so keep in mind the budget laptop has a resolution of 1366 by 768 and a GPU with shared GPU memory of 1.9 gigabytes. Memory is 1.4 gigabytes available with a speed of 2933 megahertz. So I did put the performance stats as you can see on the top there as well to give you a better idea of how the game is performing. So overall, the 1-bar graphics settings, as you can see here, CPU usage is pretty much in the high 90s, 97%, and your GPU is 77% most of the time. VRAM is 82%, so that's 3.1 out of 3.8 gigabytes. FPS, you're looking in the 20 to 30 range. So if you are gonna play Roblox Bedwars on this budget laptop, I highly recommend doing it on 1-bar graphics settings if possible. Especially long term. So as you can see here, I'm running 31, 33 FPS right now. But here you go. We have some action here. So you can see the FPS dropped down to 27, 29. Boom. Yep. So let me show you guys some 5-bar graphics settings now. You're gonna see your FPS is around 17, 18. RAM is at 2.9 out of 3.8 gigabytes. CPU usage still in the 90s, and we are going to do side by side, so you're going to have a better idea later of the FPS and the performance difference. I have to say, Roblox Bedwars is a pretty fun game. A lot of clone games out there. Reason why this video took a little bit of extra days is because I didn't realize I was playing a clone, and it's not the real Roblox Bedwars. So hopefully I have the right game this time. This was a requested video. And you're going to see here in the medium settings here, I'm putting extra blocks around to see how it's going to affect the FPS. So here he comes. So I have about 13 FPS. Pretty interesting. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to break through, and he did. And they're going to destroy my bed pretty much. And let me show you some 10-bar graphics settings. So I don't recommend playing on this because you're going to see FPS drop to about 8 to 12 FPS. CPU usage still in the high 90s, same as GPU, 91, 93%. RAM usage was actually pretty consistent for all graphics quality settings. So keep in mind the resolution on this laptop is only 1366 by 768. It's a budget laptop, don't expect too much. But yeah, here, let me put in some action here. So you see the FPS is 10 FPS now. It used to be 12. And let me fall into the void here. I should have put more footage of me actually, beating some of my opponents. But yeah, 10 to 12 FPS. So for the 10-bar graphics settings, you're going to see here. And I'm going to get destroyed. And let me do the side by side now. So you got your 10-bar graphics settings versus the 1-bar graphics settings. 10 FPS versus 24 FPS. CPU is 97% out versus 95%, pretty close. GPU usage, you're going to see that there's a lot less GPU usage on the 1-bar graphics settings at 67% versus 80 to 90%. But honestly, GPU usage is pretty much all over the place for whatever graphics settings we did. So sometimes also you're going to see that 10-bar graphics settings drops down to 8 FPS, and 1-bar graphics settings can go up to 31 to 37 FPS at times, even 40 as you can see here. Really depends on what you're doing. And like I said, I highly recommend playing on 1-bar graphics settings if possible. You don't want to overuse the laptop too much. So let's see here. Let me show you some 5-bar versus 1-bar graphics settings here. 18 FPS versus 37 FPS. Pretty interesting. Oh yeah, so VRAM, ignore the VRAM because it's pretty much 0 throughout the whole test. CPU usage, 90s versus 90s, so pretty much the same. As you can see with the 1 bar graphics settings, GPU can drop down to 77%, while the 5 bar graphics settings, it was in the high 90s. RAM usage, 76% versus 85%. So definitely a difference there. So it was pretty good. This was a pretty good test. I have to say, very good recommendation by the one of the comments there to try this game out. So like I said, overall I recommend 1 bar graphics settings for each. Gonna notice about 10 to 12 FPS difference with the 1 bar versus the 5 bar. So I hope this video helps you out. Thank you for watching. Take it easy.